Ted DeRamo was born in Milford, Connecticut, October 5, 1945. He was raised by loving parents in what most of us would call a normal, middle-class family.
We lived in Trumbull. We didn't really want for anything, and a basic family life.
Right from the beginning, Ted had a twinkle of mischief in his eye, but it didn't seem to be anything his family couldn't handle.
Well, a lot of parents don't want to see it because they want to look at their children as though they're perfect, and my parents did not want to accept it.
My parents did the best they could with what they had. You know, my father he drank, but he wasn't a drinker like me.
I would never let anybody hurt my brother. I loved my brother.
My father really got me to learn a trade. I'm a mason contractor today.
Even though my father had thought that he was doing the right thing, it could have had a bad effect on him at that time.
Looking back, it's easy to see that there was trouble on the horizon, but nobody knew it or wanted to believe it at the time.
Well, I knew long before my parents. No Ted's problem.
I had to make a choice.
The people he was hanging around with, what they were doing, and that's where he was.
My friends were more important than my family.
Back at that time, it definitely was very shameful to have your child be doing something such as drugs, drinking, smoking pot. They were ashamed of it.
My friends were the friends that were doing the same kind of things I wanted to do.
That's who I blamed. I never thought of it being my brother's fault.
It wasn't long before Ted's bad habits turned into addictions. By his early 20s, he had gone from alcohol to cough medicine to heroin.
When I met Ted, I didn't see him as a troublemaker, but partying was part of my lifestyle, so it was something we were doing together.
As Ted's problems grew and his behavior got worse, he found himself in constant trouble with his friends, his family, and the police. He was in and out of prison several times.
Every day for me was a crisis.
Because of Ted's need for money to feed his heroin addiction, he started dealing drugs full-time. He knew he was in trouble when he finally realized that he couldn't control his own behavior.
I really didn't want to be an adult. I just wanted a chance to survive.
In an attempt to normalize his life, Ted got married and took over his father's masonry contracting business, but nothing really changed. He was still dealing drugs, stealing from everyone he knew, and disappearing for days at a time.
He didn't care about who he hurt, he didn't care about his family, he didn't care about working, he just cared about getting high.
Ted spent much of his time in Harlem making drug deals.
I woke up in Spanish Harlem with a needle in my arm with an overdose, pocket full of money, pocket full of dope. They must have thought I was dead because when I came out of it, everything was with me.
Well, as a young bride, this was very upsetting to me to not have my husband. I mean, I got married and my husband was not at home. I didn't know if he was going to be coming home, if he was going to be dead or alive.
Ted's wife, Lucetta, realized that Ted's self-destructive lifestyle couldn't go on. Both their lives had to change.
You can only rob so many places without getting caught. You can only steal from so many people without getting caught. You can only stick up so many people without getting caught. And I was running out of people. I was running out of things.
I came into the marriage with my own problems.
She went to Al-Anon, and I saw a change in her.
I had to learn that I was powerless over Ted's addiction, that the only one person I could change was myself, and I began looking at myself that I had some things within my own life that I needed to change.
There's a lot of help out there, but you have to take responsibility for your own actions.
I was always active in AA because they told me if you're not active, if you're not involved, you're going to get high.
Ted DeRamo knew enough about construction to know that if he was going to rebuild his life, he'd need a good foundation.
Policemen, of all people, led me to the Lord.
I would say I've probably known Ted 20 years.
I know that we all see Ted every week in church, and sometimes ushering and passing the plate around, and people look at him, but I don't think they really understand where he's come from and what he does.
As I got to know him and he began to open up and share with me a little bit, I was amazed to just realize all that he had been through.
Ted was excited about the new strength he felt in his life, but he needed to know more.
I'm not talking about religion. I'm talking about a relationship with Jesus Christ.
Christ changed the person's heart, and Ted's heart. Ted has a new heart.
Teddy's the kind of guy who remembers where he came from and the kind of lifestyle that he lived previously to committing his life to the Lord.
You know, one of the great things about having Ted around is whenever I get up against a situation where other people might not be willing to go and talk to somebody, I can call Ted anytime, day or night, and I've done it. And Ted will just get in the car and he'll go to wherever they are and he'll deal with whoever and whatever is going on.
You know, you got to watch these pastors.
He knows the way out. He knows how to climb out of that hole with God's help.
Ted still goes down to Harlem. Of course, not for the same reasons he did back in the old days. And some of the neighborhoods have changed, but people's needs haven't changed, and Ted knows that.
Now he knew he had found the answer. Ted also knew his life would never be the same.
It's about me and Jesus Christ.
Ted's not afraid to go into some neighborhoods that you and I wouldn't even consider going into because those were his old haunts. He knows them, he knows the people, and doesn't expect that he's going to change them overnight, but he's not going to give up either.
Ted's been a part of a lot of things, you know, in the life of the church, and he's well loved by a lot of people.
Well, everything I tried only brought me so far.
But his main thing is he runs the Higher Ground Ministry.
The Higher Ground Ministry gives you recovery, and it gives you Jesus Christ, and it tells you how to combine them both.
He understands a lot more the language of the street and the ways of the street because he's been there and he's done that. That gives him the ability to be able to approach just about anybody fearlessly and confront them with where their life is going.
I lived the other side. The other side was hell for me. You know, this is as close to hell as I ever want to get.
Higher Ground Ministry I recommend to any church that wants to open their doors to people that are hurting, because through the ministry, lives can be changed.
Every church should have this ministry. Every church should be involved with lost people.
I think one of the reasons that Teddy's so passionate about sharing with others is because of his own changed life. He doesn't preach a sermon, he doesn't go into some kind of theological discussion. He just shares how his life's been changed and wants to share that with other people.
My brother is a walking miracle, because if he could do what he did, there isn't a soul on the earth that if they want it bad enough, they can do it too.
From being on welfare to owning my own house with no mortgage and having a business, and all that came from God.
Ted is a miracle. Some people will look at him today and not really think he ever was an addict, but he was. And he's a changed man today because he wanted his life to be different and he accepted the Lord Jesus Christ in his life. He is a miracle. I saw my husband. I know what he lived, how he lived. I know what addiction did to him, and yet he's a changed man today.
No matter where they are in life, what their circumstances are, God can help them and change them. And I think Ted is a prime example of that.
With the help of the Lord, you don't have to stay in your addiction anymore.
Don't ever forget where you came from. That doesn't mean you have to live there. You just have to remember where you're there and try and bring somebody along with you.
There's hope for anybody, including you, because the God who made you loves you and has great plans for your future, no matter what your past is.
God has really changed me from that person of feeling empty and lonely and no purpose to a man who can stand up and stand up tall.
Ted Duramo is an example of that grace that only God can give.
Ted is a miracle.
He's a miracle.
Walking miracle.
It was probably the best high in my life, and it didn't cost me a nickel. like to beat people up and tell them Jesus is the answer, because I hated it when people told me that. But you know, Jesus is the answer. And if I can do anything in my lifetime, is to reach one more person, and that person might be you. And if I'm talking to you right now, just reach out and ask Jesus Christ into your heart, and you'll see that your life will change. Thank you.